Rachel tried to paint herself as Captain Save-A-Ho of Captain Save-A-Cow, Captain Save-A-Feeder. Rachel became Captain Save-A-Feeder, and she basically said, you know what, I'm gonna wear this mantle. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get justice for victims. And that's the veneer with which Rachel packaged this entire thing.
I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that. I think flirting so that you can make more money is totally normal.
If you don't subscribe, you will be smacked down by the Lord. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Uhari Nonsazi, and I am so very happy to have you here. This is a special shout out to all my South Africans because I'm getting more and more of you. I would just like to say welcome, Sambonani Dubelang, Absheni. Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about somebody who was clearly not part of the Feast but Small movement, because if she was, she'd be a little bit smarter. Today we're talking about Rachel Reacts, the reactor who was supposed to occupy a rather intellectual position in this here community called gorlworld. We don't get a lot of intellectualism in this community because our girls aren't exactly erudites. But Rachel came into the community as a fresh breeze. You know, she had the perspective of a qualified philosopher. Wow, Rachel answered the question, what's the value of a philosophy degree?
Hello, be a good girl and watch this clip for me.
This is the story of a philosophy graduate who went on to do everything wrong. This is the story of British FFG.
If it is true, and Emily isn't lying, and this really did happen, then that is a whole conversation which needs to be had, right? If this is Emily coming out, well, not coming out, but if this is Emily saying there was a physical element to the relationship, the reason that matters to me, and the reason that I'm sharing it and platforming this and exposing these private DMs, which to be honest is not something I feel comfortable doing, but I think we have a duty in the Amberverse. We have a duty in the Amberverse to know that this is true, because in the past Amber has been accused of this before by Casey, and if this is true it gives a lot more credibility, which Casey doesn't need this because I believed Casey anyway, but it makes it even more likely that Casey isn't lying and that all of the other exes who have come out and said that Amber is awful and manipulative aren't lying. I don't believe they're lying anyway, but this is just like another X in a line of X's. So it does matter, I think, if Emily did say this, and if Emily has been another victim of Amber, it's very relevant in my opinion. But in my humble opinion, the concept that everybody jumped on Emily and was so horrible and nasty to her, including myself, and then it may turn out that in fact she was actually more of a victim of Amber than anybody realised, that is very interesting and important for us in the Amberverse to assess. Emily, if you want to share your story to somebody who will genuinely listen to you, don't get me wrong, I'm critical. I can call out and question your feederism related behaviour, but that doesn't mean that I won't support you as a victim of DV and share your story on your behalf if you want me to, which to be honest, I think it might be Amber supporters need to know. Everybody needs to know. If Emily is another person in a long line of Amber's victims, then she deserves to have her story told if that's what she wants.
Emily, do you have an estimate of which day the video goes up? Is this the one that you will share some of the AdSense? Rachel, it's alright, complicated as these things are, but I'm hanging in. I've just deleted a bunch of messages because I laid out a whole plan, which I then realized I don't think is going to work about the structure. So I just deleted all of them because I realized that plan wasn't going to work. Smiley face sideways. Yeah, I'm happy to split the AdSense on the finance video with you. By the finance video, I mean the one where I talk about Amber not paying you back for the trip and her still owing you money, etc. I think you said you had receipts of her in the same message chain saying she had rent you or something and couldn't pay you back until the 1st and telling you not to get the expensive plane ticket. Emily, I thought you were going to split on this next one with the video. Emily, this has all been very hard for me, and I feel like now I don't have your support either. You told me I could trust you. Rachel, I haven't unfollowed you. I've been following you for over a year. I understand why you feel frustrated, but my worry is that I cannot trust that you won't go back and talk to Amber because you have done that before, and I will look like a total mug for having defended you. I have showed your side of the story to basically everyone in gorlworld, which has worked to your benefit. You threatened to go to reaction channels when you spoke with Amber, and now you've done it, and it has benefited you by getting your proof out, which is what you wanted. I have put my reputation on the line to get the truth out because I wanted to support a TV victim. This has always been about getting the truth out there for your proof. I am not on anyone's side. I am on the side of proving what really happened. That's what I've always said. Emily, I understand. I know you don't trust my word, but I'm not going back to Amber. I'm not sure who is telling you I'm talking to her, but clearly they're trying to stir the pot. I'm putting this entire chapter of my life behind me. I've been hurt by her. Thank you for telling my side of the story. I truly do appreciate it. Are you still going through with your word to split the AdSense with me? I'm going to assume you're ghosting me now. Hey, sorry, I thought I was blocked. And then Emily sends a voicemail, which you can't hear. Rachel, no worries. I think you should make a public statement on your own platform to inform people that it wasn't you. I think our communications have skewed my judgment and impartiality towards the situation, and I think it's best we stop speaking. While I understand that this decision will be disappointing to you, I can't in good faith pay you for the video where I shared your story because I heavily suspect that you had other motives for speaking to me besides getting your story out as a DV victim. Feel I have been a pawn in a bigger game between you and Amber, and that my good intentions have been somewhat used. In light of the recent developments, I know it would be a disappointment to my audience, and I can't be sure confirmation of any payment wouldn't end up getting back to Amber and then used against me. I am pleased we were able to show the proof to the audience, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to make a payment to you. Instead, I will make a donation to a domestic violence charity. I have to safeguard my integrity. I have to safeguard my integrity with my audience. This is something I'm not willing to risk. Thank you for understanding, and I wish you all the best. Emily. Then I want the video taken down because it's done nothing but cause me problems. I'm not going to make a statement. I'm not posting anything to social media. I'm being harassed. People are calling my family. Everyone is talking about reporting me now because Hector kind of posted about it. And now you're not staying true to your word. How would you like if someone did that to you? I feel like I've been used and exploited. I'm not talking to Amber. This is just your excuse to go back on your word. Unbelievable. You say you're sharing a victim story, then turn around and not believe me after you make money off of me, or while you're worried about your reputation. Come on, Rachel. Emily. Rachel, I need to be very clear about how wrong this is. I shared my personal story and details with you under the agreement that I would be compensated. That was part of the understanding from the start, and you assured me multiple times that I would be. I also made it clear that without that agreement, it would not be worth it for me to share something so personal and painful. You went forward, used my story publicly, and then decided after the video was posted to take that agreement back? This is not acceptable. You shared private information about me under a false sense of trust and benefit. This is not about speculation or donations. It's about ethics and respect. You profited from my vulnerability, and now you're trying to frame it as something else. I'm asking you to take accountability and make this right. It's clear you're worried about how this might affect your image and reputation if people found out you paid me. But what would actually look worse than agreeing to pay me and then backing out after the video was already posted, all while profiting off of it yourself? I am not looking to make this public. I've kept everything private and respectful with you, but I trusted you to handle this with honesty and integrity, and you have not. You promised compensation for my time and my vulnerability. You used my story publicly. You can still make this right, quietly and respectfully. Rachel, thank you so much for your response. I would like to note that I disagree with your characterization of the timing and nature of the agreement. Nevertheless, I appreciate you giving me an understanding of your viewpoint in the message above. Please grant me, Rachel GPT, a period of time to think about the situation and decide which action is most suitable. As I have stated, my fear is that your motivations for getting me to make this video were to express a power play over Amberlynn, with whom I believe you are still in regular contact. I'm not comfortable being a pawn in the mind games between the pair of you, nor am I comfortable financially compensating you for the same. I would be far more comfortable donating this money to a good cause. I see that this option is not acceptable to you. Monies occurred in October 2025 are paid by YouTube in November, so there is no rush for a decision. Thank you for your patience. I will be back in contact in due course. Emily, I don't agree with that. What exactly do you mean by characterization of timing and the nature of the agreement? The agreement was made before the video was uploaded, and you confirmed that more than once. The video would not have gone live without that understanding. Bringing up your own assumptions about my motivations or other people is irrelevant and dismissive. You're basing this off of rumors and no credible sources. You do not need more time to think about what is right. You made an agreement and you have an obligation.
I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that. I think flirting so that you can make more money is totally normal.
Wisdom is a shelter as money is shelter. But the advantage of knowledge is this, that wisdom preserves the life of its possessor. Ecclesiastes 7. If you were here for my previous reaction, you would know that we talked about a high-ranking demon called FFG. Well, the more I dissected Rachel, the more I realized that this is just FFG with the good hair. Except she has a degree where Rachel... Look, I'm already mixing them up. She has a degree where FFG and Marie does not. But the sad thing is that FFG was able to be way more successful at the con, make way more money at the con, and stay hidden longer than Rachel was able to do. So today, since we are dealing with a lower ranking demon, but a demon nonetheless, we do have to protect ourselves. We have to cover ourselves in the blood of Christ and science, because they're too much. So today we're going to be reading again from, oh my God, my critical reasoning study guide. Rachel, you went so much further in philosophy. This is just from the second year, okay? But for some reason, you're missing a lot of this. Rachel decided that she was going to pull a con on the community. She was going to come in with all this information, this tea that nobody else had. She could be grimy, she could be TMZ in the background, but when she came in front of us, she was going to be an advocate for domestic violence. Okay, so this begins with a video that Emily posted early 2025, where she came talking about some messages that she had gotten between somebody called A and Emily. A was revealing some details that Emily had revealed to them in private, and Rachel, in turn, decided that she was going to make a video about some of these claims. And in the video, she propositioned Emily and said, if you want to tell the story, you can come and contact me. At this point, Emily had already been talking to other people, talking to reactors, talking to anybody really who would listen to her whenever she was mad at Amberlynn. The difference here is that Rachel decided to go seeking. Rachel pursued Emily. And she pursued Emily with the intent of getting information that nobody else has so that she can draw a crowd like, say, Mr. Snowflake does. She wanted to seem like the kind of person who's doing this because she cares. She's doing this because what Amber is doing is not right. And that's the motive that she presents. Well, people are like, nah, bitch, we're not fucking with that. We don't like it. Emily didn't really give her permission. We don't know who A is. A, by the way, is Amy Flowers. I'm kidding. But A, we don't know who A is. I think A was Rachel, and she was just trying to test the waters, which she does a lot. Rachel's a prolific liar, huge manipulator, and unfortunately, she's just not very good at it. So Rachel decides, what is she going to do? She's going to use money as shelter. So what does Rachel decide to do? She says, you know what? I'm going to take the proceeds from this video and I'm going to donate them to a domestic violence charity. Okay. She does this, and eventually the scandal of it dies down. Well, give it a couple of months and Rachel comes back into the picture. This time, she has presented herself as the source. So now nobody can say she's being manipulative, because in the text she's showing, it is clear that Emily is showing a sense of consent to this information being shared. When this information comes to us, it is clear that the motive is to humanize Amberlynn's abuser by showing the abuse that Amberlynn did to them. We have two people abusing each other here. Amberlynn and Emily. They're both bad people, and they both have tactics that they're using at each other. And when Emily's talking to reaction channels and revealing embarrassing details, she's basically humiliating Amber, which she absolutely adores doing. So Rachel came and she ran a PR campaign, which was somewhat successful, piggybacking off of an interview that Mr. Snowflake had already done with Emily, where Emily again was now painted as the victim. It's hard to say painted as the victim because the victimhood comes within the text themselves and the interaction. So I won't say painted as much as revealed. So two people are doing bad and this part of the bad is being revealed. Okay, Surfake does the interview. Emily comes in and she decides she's going to do another interview. And so she said something. Perhaps it was in the first video or the second one. But she said, I believe that we as reactors have a duty in gorlworld to verify these details and find out whether or not Amber did it, because blah, 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 justice. Amberlynn can't continue doing this to her partners. I believe that this story will help corroborate things that Amber's ex has said, such as Casey. Not that Casey needs corroboration because I already believe him, but still, Rachel tried to paint herself as Captain Save-A-Ho of Captain Save a Cow, Captain Save a Feeder. Rachel became Captain Save a Feeder, and she basically said, you know what, I'm gonna wear this mantle. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get justice for victims. And that's the veneer with which Rachel packaged this entire thing. She was going to do a bunch of grimy ass shit in the background and then make money by publicly pretending to be some sort of saint. Rachel has like an amazing, amazing, triumphant moment. But then there was a problem. Rachel, who thought that Emily was done with Amber, realizes that Emily is still speaking to Amber. Unbeknownst to us, in order to get this information from Emily, Rachel had actually developed a rather friendly relationship. See, in order to tell the story of a domestic violence victim, Rachel flirted with that domestic violence victim and then got their story and then monetized it, promised to give them a share of the money, didn't give them the share of the money, got told that she should give the money and fulfill her promise, because what's worse than paying her is not paying a victim of domestic violence when you told them they would by getting them to tell their story. So Rachel, who's like the smartest fucking woman in every room she's in, decides that she's going to get ahead of this by telling her subscribers that she had actually made an agreement to pay Emily for certain receipts. And because she didn't do that, Emily said, take the video down. And then Rachel took it down. And obviously people are going to want to know why. So then she makes that post. So the DMs, which end up being released, DMs between Emily and Rachel, end up showing that the reason, well, I believe, that Rachel didn't give Emily the money she promised was because she was mad that Emily went back to Amber. Because, y'all, turns out that Rachel caught feelings. She did. She caught feelings for Emily. She even said that it's looking more and more likely that Emily isn't a feeder. Really, bitch? You didn't see the picture of Emily lying on the belly of her now deceased fiance who was like 800 pounds or 1,000 and died due to super morbid obesity complications. The one who has an account on a website called Phoebe for Feeders. That person, who has not made a secret of how big she likes her women, that person is looking likely that they're not a feeder. That's a detail that Rachel revealed in a Discord with a couple of other cheeky reactors. And I have got to say, Rachel, how dumb are you? How dumb are you? There is no reasonable expectation of privacy on the internet. None whatsoever. Fucking tech billionaires put fucking tape on their webcams because they know that at any point anybody can pick their way in. Privacy is a myth at this point. So you are in a Discord with mates shooting the shit. That's what she says. Liefie toch. I don't think you had at this point met any of these people. These people were slimy. And you thought they were your friends. There is no honor among parasites. So, for whatever reason, Although I truly believe it's because she was jealous. Emily decides, yeah, I'm not going to pay. Rachel decides, I'm not paying Emily. Amberlynn comes, yo, it's fucked up. I'm not saying I'm with Emily, but it's fucked up that you said you took her story, you shared it, you made money, but you don't want to give her the money. Her audience is mad because why the fuck would you give money to a feeder and an abuser? So Rachel decides, okay, what is she going to do? What is she going to do? Maybe she'll just go back to previous tactics, which manipulators like Rachel do. So she decides that she is going to once more pledge to donate the money to charity, domestic violence charity. What's the thing the verse said? Wisdom is a shelter as money is a shelter. So she decides, am I going to go shelter myself in wisdom? Or am I going to shelter myself in money? What would wisdom look like? Wisdom would look like accountability. And money looks like charity. Because let's get this clear. Charity, disadvantaged people and animals don't exist as some sort of sacrifice to purge your sins. If you fuck up and you give to charity, you're still fucking fucked up. When you're empty and vacuous, you don't understand why people are upset. So you just do whatever it is you think they want to shut them up. The problem was, she pretended to do this for previous victims by using a current or the latest victim. But people realized after those 12,000 live viewers, there was more to this person than met the eye. And we saw that when the Discord messages were leaked.
Jawbone. Genuinely considering reaching out to Emily, that kind of money would change my life. Rachel. I feel like if people knew, there would be a lot more understanding. Jew. I doubt it. I think those with the hump just like to have the hump. Rachel. They will anyway when they see the donation. That video made 3.6k so far, so I'll be forced to out myself. Haha. Jawbone. By the way, I'm not saying you were riding Emily's clit, Rachel. I'm just taking the piss out of what Amber said. Rachel. I simp for money, literally. Did people think I was going to get the best tea in gorlworld for months and not have to get a bit muddy? Haha. Hecticana. So, are you going to give the money to Beck? The comments were overwhelmingly in favor of that. Rachel. I don't think so, to be honest. Feels wrong. I can't explain why, but I can see how it's a huge fuck you to them both, so I can see the appeal. I might do a poll and then blame it on that, I don't know. But the poll would be big, so I've got time to think on it. If I do charity, I can write it off on my taxes. Haha. Holy mackerel. I think that's best, to be honest. Rachel. It feels cleaner. Julia. I didn't understand why people even suggested it until I reread the statement a second time. But both from an accounts and moral point of view, I think a charity with a registered charity number is best. Rachel. I don't know why. Yeah, I lean this way also, but there is something satisfying and petty about giving it to Beck. Haha. I'll think about it.
The Discord messages, where she was just shooting the shit with mates, revealed more of the real Rachel. Rachel wasn't some sort of advocate of truth. She wasn't somebody who was emotionally moved by the stories of the people who had come out and talked about how they were abused by Amberlynn. She just saw all of that and she saw money. In the same way that fat Rachel, hashtag FFG, saw money when she saw BBJ. So what these demons / parasites do is they mimic empathy in order to milk people who care. They gaslight, they manipulate. They use mimicry. Mimicry is something that is either a survival mechanism or a mechanism to prey. An example of mimicry would be what people call the white voice. Like Black people, in order to assimilate, we had to mimic the ways of white people in order to get further within their society. White people are very uncomfortable by Blackness. So you kind of have to try your best to minimize it. So when you see the results now of Black women or women of color appropriating white behaviors, the history behind that is social mimicry in an attempt to not stick out and get further. That's mimicry for survival. Then there's mimicry as a means of preying. And that's when something tries to blend in so much so that you feel safe around it. So safe that you don't realize that it's eating at you. And that is what Rachel attempted but failed to do. Okay, so if you watch my previous video about FFG, I do use philosophy as a way to break down some of the manipulative tactics that she used. And the same will be done with Rachel, except this is less formal because it comes from basically me contemplating certain things. And then I just kind of scribbled in pencil in my book because it came to me like eureka. And then I started writing and yeah, eureka. So this started with me saying to my boyfriend, this started with me saying to my partner, this started with me saying to my man, I'm sick of the word projection. It was a result of Amberlynn constantly saying, you're projecting, you're projecting, you're projecting. Anytime anybody said something negative about her on LOL bus, that just got to me. And I thought, we as a society use this term way too much to even understand what it means. And I said to my man, I was like, I'm sick of the word projection. I want to articulate that thing, but I can't find another word. And then he was like, what about impose? And I was like, whoa, okay, I guess, because projection is a form of imposition. I'm imposing on you these behaviors, right? I'm imposing onto you these motives. What I'm doing is I am looking at you, and instead of questioning you and your existence, I'm simply going to assume that you're just like me, thus imposing my life experience onto you. So I'm going to read something I wrote now. Looking for myself in your actions, interpreting your behavioral motives through the lens of my experiences. You did what I did because of why I did it. Instead of getting information from you, I assume my understanding and experience is objective instead of subjective. I completely ignore. It goes around like this, and then has to turn around. Oh, this, and then it turns. It's a whole thing. Okay. Sorry, let's go back to, instead of getting information from you, I assume my understanding and experience is objective instead of subjective. I completely ignore the nuance of your existence by ignoring / not considering or investigating your context. Essentially, whatever conclusion I come to is incorrect because my equation has not accounted for important variables needed to complete the calculation. The outcome will at best be a hypothesis because it doesn't matter that what we're doing looks the same. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And I learned from the FFG fiasco that motive matters. It is not enough to look at what a person is doing. You need to understand why they're doing it, or you can be manipulated. Projection is therefore reaching a conclusion without sufficient evidence. My experience should inform my questions, not my conclusion, because the experience of reality is both subjective and objective. Natural laws such as gravity are objective, but the experience of them is not. That's why reality differs for every conscious being. Projection is a refusal to ask questions. Understanding can only be reached through inquiry. Our actions may be the same, but our motive may differ. That is why motive matters. If you impose your motives to an action, you can be manipulated by mimicry. Mimicry is a replication of your behavior to manipulate your perception of me. You will see what you want to see and ignore the reality of the reason behind what it is you are experiencing. I realized this when FFG was revealed by her brother to be a prolific liar and manipulator and user and abuser and parasite and demon. I realized that so many of us had clung to the charity that she does. She has donated to animals. We have seen her take out of her own money. She built a reputation as an animal lover. So when we saw her actions, we ascribed our motive. I love animals, therefore I would like to save them. FFG loves animals, therefore she would like to save them. So when things came into question about the quality of BBJ's life, even if she's not giving full transparency, there's already the pre-existing reputation she created by doing actions that society deems charitable, profitable, and good. So the action has a strong connotation. So in order for me to skewer your perception of me, I'm going to do these actions and rely on you looking at the action as opposed to me and why I'm doing it. And in that way, you can believe that somebody's a good person because, oh, they're giving to charity. But just because my action is helping people doesn't mean that it's a good thing. That's just a byproduct of what's happening. Because I think it is great that Rachel ended up donating the money she made from the Emily video to Beck, a victim of Amberlynn that Rachel had brought up in a parasitic way, clearly because she doesn't give a fuck. I think it's great that she gave that money to Beck. But that means absolutely fucking nothing. Because that money is owed to Rachel, because Rachel, fucking hell, that money is owed to Emily, because Emily is the one whose story was exploited, her story of legitimate abuse. Rachel came in with the veneer of, I'm going to tell the story, I'm going to give you a platform. At the end of the day, she told the story, she benefited it, and then she gave the money to somebody completely different because she decided that she didn't like the fact that Emily was back with Amber. And so she was going to use the reasons other people would, oh, she's a bad person, to cover herself. So she did what she did the same. She did what she did the first time. She got backlash. She mimicked empathy. But let it be known that Rachel does not care at all about the people who she has used. She has simply been mimicking our empathy in the community, mimicking our care, and mimicking the narrative that she is one of those reactors who are helping give Amber's victims a voice. A big part of this is Rachel and her own insecurities. Because I believe, and this, I guess, is a hypothesis, right? Because we're talking about projection. So what I'm going to say, I can't prove because I don't have enough information. So I'm simply going to estimate and say, because of her behavioral traits, I believe that Rachel is insecure. I believe that Rachel uses things such as money and her education and charitable deeds to cover up who she actually is because she doesn't like herself. I think that Rachel got a lot of attention and she couldn't understand why it was because she doesn't see herself to be a special person. I think it's incredibly sad that somebody as talented as her decided to waste that talent on chasing something when all she actually had to do was be herself. By herself, I mean the person she was pretending to be. In her messages with Emily, she talks about having to safeguard her integrity with her audience. What she meant was she wanted to safeguard the facade, the lie, the person her audience thought she was. And she couldn't have them knowing the truth of who she is because Rachel, in her mind, thinks who she is not good enough. The fact that Mr. Snowflake said she was the smart one was not good enough for her. She couldn't have just taken the fucking good PR and stayed and used her skills and done that. Instead, she had to continue to try to replicate other people in order to make money. But what does that money do? It's filling something else. All this attention, it's filling something else. She cared so much about what people thought about her that she ended up blowing her own spot up. Rachel's downfall, similar to FFG's downfall, is interesting because you have two people whose audience would have stuck with them even if they had never directly inserted them in the lives of the people they're covering. FFG still would have gotten a lot of money if she didn't if she didn't heist BBJ. If she never did that, she would still have a following. People still would have given her. She still would have had enough money to travel like she did because people liked her. And Rachel, people liked you. You never actually had to blow your own spot up. You never had to be the type of person who tries to be some fucking TMZ. And then you go and you fall in love with Emily and then you get mad when you realize that Emily is still with Amber. I'm glad that Beck got money. But Emily is the one who should have gotten that money. Because you promised her. Nobody told you to do that shit. Nobody told you to go into the DMs and develop this relationship. You went from being this respected reactor to literally emulating the behaviors of the lol cows. You are like Valentine. For those of you who don't know, Valentine, Amber gives all of these people she's with nicknames because none of them want to be directly associated with her because why would they? Her digital footprint is ass. Yes, it's ass and it's a stain on you just by proximity, so I don't claim them. Anyway, Valentine, whose real name was Erica, started talking to Amber as a troll, but actually ended up developing feelings for Amber because why not? Developed feelings for Amber and started cheating on her wife with Amber. Pathetic. Rachel came in trolling Emily, trying to get information from her. She said stuff like, I must say I did a little flirting. Did people think I was going to get the best tea in gorlworld without getting a little muddy?
Number one is the flirting. Screenshots have been shared that show me saying that I flirted with Emily to get the tea. And I did say that. The screenshots are real, as I've already said. And I think this is kind of funny. And I'm going to just touch on this now. So I wanted the tea. I run a Girl World YouTube channel. So getting receipts and proof about one of the girls is super, super valuable to me. It's valuable monetarily, obviously, because I make profit off the videos. All of that stuff is super valuable. My goal is to analyze the girls the best way I possibly can. So in order to do that, I want to see the proof, and I'm not going to lie about that. I absolutely do. So in order to do that, I want to see the proof, and I'm not going to lie about that. I absolutely do. And it is completely true that during my texting with Emily, I was much kinder to her than I might have otherwise been. I was much nicer. I was much more jokey. I sent some winky face. Actually, I don't even know if I sent winky faces, but I definitely was somewhat more amenable to her than I could have been because I wanted her to feel comfortable with me and give me all of the proof, right? I don't think anybody is going to send somebody else like 150 screenshots, videos, various other stuff without you making them feel comfortable. So I describe that as flirting in the Discord, and I probably stand by that. I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that. I think flirting so that you can make more money is totally normal. People do it when they're bartenders, burlesque dancers, so many different professions. You'll be a bit nicer than you want to be to somebody because you're trying to get ahead in your career. I think that flirting with somebody is literally no big deal. I think that people having a huge problem with me flirting with somebody a tiny bit to get more information is like kind of weird. Like, why do you care?
Oh, it was about getting the best tea. I thought it was about giving domestic violence victims a voice. I thought that we in the Amberverse have a duty.
If it is true, and Emily isn't lying, and this really did happen, then that is a whole conversation which needs to be had, right? If this is Emily coming out, well, not coming out, but if this is Emily saying there was a physical element to the relationship, the reason that matters to me, and the reason that I'm sharing it and platforming this and exposing these private DMs, which to be honest is not something I feel comfortable doing, but I think we have a duty in the Amberverse. We have a duty in the Amberverse.
I didn't know that we were flirting for tea. Now I'm going to get into my final point. That is Rachel imposing her motives onto the community because she doesn't want to face her own face. Literally. Remember, you are beautiful in every single way. When Emily got caught, finally, she did something that Amberlynn does a lot. Instead of talking about her own actions relative to her, she tried to justify them by saying that other people do them, so it's okay that she does them as well. She said that other people flirt in other careers to get ahead, and it's not weird that she does it, and she thinks that it's weird that people think it's weird, and that some people take gorlworld too seriously, said the woman who fell in love with a deaf feeder, did a bunch of PR for her, and then refused to pay her. Yeah, sure, we take it too seriously. Rachel starts talking about how it's done in other professions, and in the Discord they talk about one of them is like Jordy, who's a huge influence in the community, said he doesn't see the problem paying for receipts, and Rachel was like, well, if he says it's okay, then it's okay. Because again, it's not about doing the moral or the right thing, it's about doing the public relations thing. That's an issue, girl. Rachel starts talking about how all of these creators do this to make money, and nobody would sit and edit and do this if it wasn't for money. Here's the problem. You are a parasite on the back of gorlworld. You discovered this place. You saw it for the money you could make. You started making the money and you got greedy. You saw the type of people here and what they care about. And so you tried to pretend that you care about those things in order to make more money. But for those of us who've been here for perhaps a decade or just under, for those of us who've been here for long, remember how this community started. People didn't start reacting to Amber because they wanted to make money. They reacted to Amber because they cared. They were angry at all her lies. They were angry at how she treats people, and they wanted some form of justice. Entertainment and money ensued. But the primary motive of why this community started to begin with was not to make money. The profitable nature of this community was a byproduct. The very first video I made was about Beck. It was about Beck and all the shit that Amber had done to Beck. I finished binging Shaped by the Algorithm by Mr. Snowflake, and by the end of it, I was just Devastated. I was devastated, and I was devastated because Beck's mom was gone, and Beck blamed herself for not spending that time with her mother, and it was not Beck's fault. And that hurt me. That angered me. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to find other people who know about it to just feel even a little sense of community, to not feel crazy, and to be part of the people who are saying this is wrong. Because I don't have a big channel. The video itself doesn't have over like 100 views. But somebody watched it and somebody saw it. And I added to a chorus of voices. And this chorus got so fucking loud that it may not be direct justice. And Beck may be in a very terrible position, but they're in a better position than they would have been without this community caring about them. This community cares. They care about people. A lot of what caused it was that they cared about Amber and Chantal. Cared about Life by Jen who passed. They cared. People care. Not everybody was doing this for money. That's not how it started. And it's absolutely okay to do it just for the money. People love Jordy. I love watching Jordy. I'm not looking for Jordy to be motherfucking Teresa, because he doesn't lie about his motives. That's the big problem, Rachel. If you're wondering why all of this went so fucking bad, it's because you lied about your motives. You lied about who you are. You lied to the community, and you lied to yourself. And now here we are. And you're fucking lol cow adjacent. Fell in love like Erica did. And now you've released a video that gives the strongest Kybella vibes. But I'll talk about that in another video. Rachel, people are not you. Just because other people do shit stuff doesn't mean that it's okay that you do shit stuff. You're not a journalist, and there was no integrity in flirting with Amberlynn's victim, making money off of them, and then keeping it. Oh no, you sent some of it to Beck because you think that money is shelter. And it is. Sure. For a while. But you've got to think about longevity. It's about community. It's about appreciating your audience. Not calling them dumb and trying to manipulate them and gaslight them and do a piss poor job at it. And you don't give a shit about people. You just want their money. And enough people see that now. If you just come up and be like, hi, my name is Rachel and I'm a piece of shit who likes money and is willing to flirt with a deaf feeder in order to get it, then that's okay. That's okay. Be loved for who you are. And go love yourself, girl. Take that money that you're wiping, those banknotes, take them and give them to a therapist. Get better, get help. So that you can stop being so self-destructive and get out of your own way. Because money was able to save you first time around, but it did not work the second time around. Because money is not as great as wisdom. Looks like Carter at the beginning. Once more, just once more. Wisdom is a shelter as money is shelter. But the advantage of knowledge is this: that wisdom preserves the life of its possessor. Can we all come together and be more wise? We need to ask more questions, guys. We need to freaking question these people's motives. It's up to us as a community to be better judges of character, because the FFGs and Rachels of the world are plentiful. And we do not have to fall for each and every one. Let's take accountability of the fact that we need to ask more questions. And we need to start highlighting just how important motive is. Okay, guys, thank you so much for sitting through this whole thing. You sat through this whole thing. Congratulations. I am so proud of you. You are part of the generation of people who have a non-TikTok attention span. I appreciate you guys so very much. I hope that you will join me the next time here on my channel, Uhari, where I talk about anything that comes to my mind. Bye.
I definitely did flirt with her a little bit. I don't give a fuck about that.